Thank you all for coming. Community Power and Minnesota 350 have put together this candidate forum as a part of a series of ward-specific and mayoral races focused on energy. Decisions made on energy will power our homes, schools, businesses, phones, computers, and internet, greatly influence economic opportunity, community health, housing stability, and climate resilience. Minneapolis and its residents spend $450 million on our gas and electric utilities each year, and in 2014, the city of Minneapolis negotiated the design of the first in the nation partnership between a city and its corporate energy providers, Xcel and CenterPoint. This clean energy partnership provides us, and in particular our city leadership, more direct leverage in our energy choices concerning affordability, access, and the sources we use to generate it. We've brought together the candidates who wish to represent Ward 6 to discuss these issues, and let's see what choices they make. We can have our interpreters up. We have translating Oromo.
Yeah, Mohammed.
And we have Mohammed. And basically, if you need any language assistance, one, could you group around the gentleman translating for that particular language? So we have, again, a for Oromo. If you need an Oromo translation, please meet with him. He'll be right over here in the center. And if you need
translation as well, because I interpret both, so Amharic as well. Anybody interested or anybody who understand.
So, as Ganesh just said, he also translates Somali. And our direct Somali translator, Mohammed, will also be here for Somali translation as well. So, if y'all can raise your hands for a second. So, if you need translation, raise your hands for just a second. Thank you much. So, moving on, the ground rules for this evening will be as follows. The candidates will be given 2 minutes each to introduce themselves, lay out a quick biography, and give us a brief idea of their energy vision for the city. Then we will ask the prepared questions, the prepared energy questions formulated by Community Power and Minnesota 350 for this evening's forum. Candidates will have 90 seconds to answer each question. This evening's intrepid timekeeper will warn the candidate when they have 30 seconds and when you are out of time and need to stop. So, if you begin to exceed your time limit, our moderator will cut you off. To ensure a fair process, we will be alternating the order of answers for each question so that no candidate can attain a specific advantage. Our prepared questions will take up to the first 45 to 60 minutes of our designated time. During this first section, if you have specific energy questions that you think your neighbors should hear their candidates answer, bring them up to our question screener. If you need to produce those questions in the language you are most comfortable with, you can also hand them to our translators, and they'll translate them over, and they'll hand them off to our question screener. Sorry, lost my place. I apologize. Because of the prepared questions have been answered, we will. So after we bring them to our question screeners, we will answer your questions for the last stage of our forum this evening, the last 30 minutes approximately. So remember to write legibly for both our translators and our question screeners. At which time, we will close the formal question and answer portion of our forum and break into the informal segment where you'll get a chance to meet your candidates and help us clean up for the evening. We are scheduled to be out of the building by 8 o'clock, and we ask you to help us keep that deadline. So, before we meet the candidates, first, quick educational note from Fair Vote Minnesota about ranked choice voting, which is the system used for all of our city elections.
Hi everybody, my name is Nick. I'm here with Fair Vote Minnesota. We're reminding folks that we're going to be using ranked choice voting to elect our next city council and all municipal races here in Minneapolis. So rather than voting for one candidate, you'll have the opportunity to rank up to 3. Your vote will only transfer to your second or third choice if your first or second candidate is eliminated. It never hurts you to rank, or it never hurts your candidate to rank the full ballot. The candidate will have to be eliminated for your vote to transfer. So keep that in mind when you're listening to your candidates, that you can rank up to 3 of them. You don't have to choose just one. So, thank you very much for having us.
Thank you. And so now that the ground rules are out of the way, let's meet our candidates in alphabetical order, starting with Tiffany Flynn Forslund. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, first we can sit.
You can sit, you can stand, you can do it.
So, Tiffany Flynn Forslund, I'm running for City Council, Ward 6. I have lived here about 4 years. I was born in Wisconsin. I'm a single mom of 3. My kids have all gone to environmental schools with environmental science and STEM as a major focus. My son, I'm a grandma. My son just had twins. So a lot of people don't believe that because I look young, but I'm actually a little bit wiser and older than I look. Environment, those issues are extremely important to me. Certainly important to Ward 6. There's a lot of improvement that could happen. And so my goal is to take all this knowledge and information and use that once upon City Council to be a renewable ward and stay hopefully.
Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mahmoud Nero. I'm a candidate running for Ward 6 City Council. And today we are talking about an important issue. Issues about climate change and energy. I believe in our common core values of passion, responsibility, and collaboration. Our collective strengths are what sets us apart as we deliver the results. I'm proud of organizations such as Minnesota 350 and Community Power for bringing us together, for bringing neighborhoods together and organizations, residents and businesses to explore, discuss, and collaborate on most pressing energy and sustainability challenges and opportunities. The energy landscape is more complex than ever before. We must unite to develop meaningful solutions that are good for our city and good for our planet. It starts with investing in renewable energy and efficient services that is clean, reliable, affordable, equitable, and something that we can all focus to be something that is produced locally. So local energy future. As we prepare for the 2018 agreement to come, I'm more confident than ever before in our collective ability to build, more confident than ever in addressing the agreements that we've had in 2014, Minneapolis Clean Energy Partnership success, and navigate the energy future. This is about our next generation. This is about our future. This is about our children. I believe in clean air, clean soil, clean water, and clean food. For us to have that, we must address things that pollute our air. We must address the carbon emission. We must address energy efficiency. And it starts with all of us. I believe in making sure that we address the 100% renewable in 2030 and making sure that we are ready for 2050 with 0 carbon. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think the question was to talk about one's background and who we are. My name is Councilmember Abdul Sami. I'm privileged and honored to be the first Somali-born council member in the history of the city of Minneapolis, the first Muslim-born and the first African-born. And over the last 3 years and 3 months that I've been on the council, we have achieved much in terms of our progressive agenda that we have outlined. One of them has been the Minneapolis Energy Partnership, which made Minneapolis the first city in the United States to have a clean partnership with its utility companies. I'm very proud to be one of the signatories of that agreement and to have been proud to be on the council at that time. I've also been one of the council members who advocated for our parks, and we've also signed a landmark agreement with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board, putting $250 million in the next 20 years in our parks. Because what would Minneapolis be without our wonderful parks? We've also funded our streets, and I've also worked on the renowned Opportunity Center that just opened across the road to train young people of color, immigrant young people in the jobs of the future. We have an unemployment rate in the city of Minneapolis for immigrant and African-born members, which is at 23%, while the broader community's unemployment rate is around 3 to 4%. That is unacceptable, and that's the reason why we created the Opportunity Center, which we hope in the future will train young immigrant and people of color with regards to new renewable jobs and renewable energy jobs. So this is who I am. I am a progressive leader, and I want your support once again to continue the work that we have done that has made our city safer. And one of the proudest moments that I've had over the last 3 years is that we haven't had a single homicide in Ward 6 over the last 16 months. So my name is Abdul Osami, and I'm glad to be here, and I'd like to thank Council 350 and Community Power for putting this meeting together. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Fidumi Yusuf, and I'm actually a mother of 5 children with a different age. I am running because I actually know the need of the community. I have the teenage who actually, same as the other teenagers, who wants the employment and some other activity. And I'm a mother, of course, and I've been struggling driving and working in a far area where I have to drive like 1 hour or sometimes 40 minutes to go there and come back for my home. So I want to change the need of the community, and I believe we need we need to work for that.
Thank you all for your words. We're going to begin the questions this evening for the forum. So the first question is, how do racial and economic justice factor into your approach to addressing climate change and the transition to a clean energy economy? We'll start with Abdi, we'll move on to Fanua, and Mahmoud, then Tiffany. So, Councilmember Wasami, how do racial and economic justice factor into your approach to addressing climate change and the transition to a clean energy economy?
That's a very good question, and thank you very much. I mean, racial equity plays a central role in all the things that we're working on in the city of Minneapolis. One of the biggest problems that we face is the equity gap, and the equity gap also affects when it comes to the environment. We live, if you look at where the concentration of poverty exists in the city of Minneapolis, is where you have people of color, where you have the highways across this area here and also North Minneapolis, where you have the largest asthma incidence in the city of Minneapolis, is where people of color is in our ward, is in the North Ward. And I think that's what we need to do. What we need to do, I was given a mic, so hello.
For the camera.
That's fine. What we need to do, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So I won't use the mic. What we need to work on is, we need to understand that poor people are affected mostly by any issues that have come with the environment. If you have global warming, poor people. If you have issues with the utilities, poor people cannot afford utilities. Poor people live in the worst housing in the city of Minneapolis. So of course, any work that we do must address racial and equity justice, and we must put more resources in areas of concentrated poverty. We must educate people of color with regards to the environment and how important it is to have different energy options and how important it is to empower them to have local energy, but also to train them to workforce of the future so they can participate in the new clean energy industries that are emerging.
Using of the clean energy must be efficient So I'm saying like using the clean energy must be sufficient for all level society, will be defeated the purpose of for use of individual impacted household at the sectorial level impacted transportation, residential and industrial sector. At the national level impacted a national budget, and at the international level, our neighbors, nationals, all must be not negatively impacted systems.
I think this is the differences that you have in terms of who's running for city council. I've been a champion for racial and economic justice in many ways. Just right now in the budget of the president from the new administration, from Donald Trump, we're seeing that the values that we value are being eroded. As I speak to you, LEHI, which is Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program, has been eliminated. They have removed it from the budget. That will impact many people of color, many low-income individuals, and many seniors. What they don't have is a partner, somebody who's going to work on those issues, address it from the federal level, stand up against the bully, making sure that our core values, the things that we all believe in, the resources that come from the federal government, the resources that we bring to the society, the environmental issues that we talk about, by giving people that job opportunity, by empowering them. Those are things that come from the city and the state and the federal government. That's not happening because we don't have a partner in City Hall. And that's why I'm running for City Council, that I can become a partner with you. We can all work together to promote the issues that we face every day. That's why I need your vote.
Okay, so what comes to mind to me is renewable energy, clean energy has been a privileged piece that while these systems are put in place, they are only affecting the people with money, which is not making the entire area or ward or city renewable or affecting climate change. The systemic racism that exists has taken self-esteem and self-worth from too many people. They don't care enough about themselves to care about the environment. There's a huge issue there. We're on the cusp of change. I feel that President Trump is pushing that change. Energy financing is a huge piece, so that the dollar amounts that you needed and the rebates are taken out of the plan. Training people to work in the workforce, which is happening through like Urban League. I think OIC, there was just a thing in Brooklyn Park, but those things, training people to work in it so that they understand it, bringing those pieces together are going to help immensely the racial equity piece.
The order of our next question will be Faduma, Mahmoud, Tiffany, and Abdi. So, our next question, starting with Faduma, will be: community solar gardens are a relatively new opportunity for Minneapolis residents to produce their own power. What is their greatest benefit in your opinion, and how would you harness the resources of the city and your influence as a city council member to make optimal use of community solar gardens for Ward 6? Faduma? Do you need me to repeat the question? Okay, the question is: community solar gardens are a relatively new opportunity for Minneapolis residents to produce their own power. What is their greatest benefit in your opinion, And how would you harness the resources of the city and your influence as a council member to make optimal use of community solar gardens for Ward 6?
I will pass that question.
Say again?
I will pass that question.
Okay then. To Mahmoud.
Well, thank you so much. I think the CSG, the community, what you call solar gardens that we are trying to promote in Ward 6, there hasn't been any initiative. You know, in order to bring programs that are going to help the community, you need to have a work plan. It starts with a strategic discussion like this one, which we have never had any listening conversations in this ward to talk about those initiatives. Unfortunately, those are things that have put us back. As a city council, I will bring the neighbors together. Look for space that we can all collaboratively build those solar gardens. And then figure out the best way is also to negotiate with Excel Energy and other entities in terms of reducing the amount of energy that we use. You know, this is something that we have to come with a collaborative effort. We have to bring people together. We have to participate, to be sitting at the table to understand what values does it add to us. You know, we live in a place whereby more than 80-something% are renters. Those incentives don't exist for most of the people. Home ownership is what drives some of this, the solar energy gardens that we see. How can we bring those incentives to the homes of people who live in apartments? How can we collaborate with landlords to empower their residents to partner in terms of creating the CSG? This is a moment that requires innovation. This is a moment that requires creativity. And those are things that I will bring to the table as your next city council member. And I think this is the moment that we have to look into how we can do that.
Okay, so I feel the greatest benefit is the energy is going to be generated from the community. Smaller pockets is going to take less from Excel and the power that we do not want to use. My mind tells me the greatest way we could do these, especially since Minneapolis is known for having so many parks. Most apartment buildings do have parks. And the urban gardens, these would be great locations to begin the community effort and the human effort of these solar gardens.
The main thing is, first of all, to educate the city residents and in general, and the ward residents in particular, the benefits of the solar gardens. And the benefits are, you know, they're shared, that you have, you're connected to the grid, and you get a credit. So homes and businesses around the solar gardens will actually get a net credit as if it was in their homes. So just like Tiffany, and I will agree with Tiffany, we can use Curry Park here to help the people that live in Cedar Riverside. And I would agree with Mahmoud that we would need to work with the landlords and the people who are the renters to come out with innovative ways that would benefit from the solar gardens. But again, this is a new initiative, and it will build on the initiatives that we've had in the past that I've championed and I've signed on, just as the Minneapolis Clean Energy Partnership, that we have gained $25 million a year from that partnership. We will build on it, but just like anything else, I think it does need a collaborative model. And the leadership is not just on the council. You know, when you run a non-profit that doesn't do anything, that doesn't bring people together, I'm not sure how that skills will translate when you come to the council. But if you can do it today, how will we guarantee that you're going to do it tomorrow, that you're going to bring people together supposedly, that you can bring people together right now? So I think the main thing is that this is a new technology, and it gives an opportunity to our world, and it gives an opportunity to people of color. And we will definitely explore it this term, so we will start exploring that right now. Next week, I will talk to Cambodia and other council members to explore the solar gardens.
All right, the third question, the order will be Tiffany, Abdi, Fadumo, Mahmoud. So our third question is, the city's climate action plan and energy vision goals include seeing 75% of all Minneapolis households, including single and multifamily households, make deep energy improvements, like energy efficient appliances and whole home insulation. that save energy and improve home comfort by 2025. Right now, however, utility energy programs provide rebates to people who can already afford thousands of dollars in upfront costs or can take out personal loans of several thousand dollars to make needed energy improvements to their homes. How would you ensure renters have access to clean energy and energy efficiency services? Tiffany?
Okay, so that deals with all the apartments that are located in the ward. I'm a part of this apartment living, and my energy efforts have changed immensely going from a house to an apartment. And I would like to take advantage of those, and it isn't gonna happen for our city unless all these apartments are taking advantage. So there has to be some sort of a network, a connection. That's an awful lot of appliances. It has to be put on, I would think, the landlords and housing. I know that there's already issues with HUD housing. The money ends like after 15 years. There's issues with the land values going up. There's bigger issues affecting it. So I don't have all the answers, but I do know that it's gonna have to come from a bigger place. The fact that there is so money, it is gonna make it more cost efficient, the more, just the way the dollar cost value works with, product. So definitely on city council is something huge that has to be worked on, because it can't happen, without everybody included, and that means every apartment building.
I mean, the thing is, when I took office in 2014, my emphasis was to change the way the city, the mistreatment between homeowners and renters. The fact that even INR people like the neighborhood revitalization program always emphasize homeowners. So homeowners will always get the benefit of updating their property, and renters will be neglected. So since I've been on the council, I've been championing renters' rights. We brought Homeline, funded them. We worked on a lot of projects to help renters, and one of the projects that we are working on is to explore ways of helping landlords, update their buildings, make it more environmentally efficient, and make sure that that goes to the renters and they get benefits from that. So the main thing is to change the access of the city. Emphasis away from homeowners. Yes, homeowners pay a lot of taxes, but renters also pay taxes through their rents and through the landlords. So to give renters a level playing field when it comes to issues, just not just the environment, but just issues of renters' rights and responsibilities to benefit from the city, and not to have a single fairer city when it comes to our approach with benefits such as updating utilities and properties.
Faduma?
Well, as we know, renters pay more than homeowners and for energy. So we actually advocate on the way where the renters will pay least energy for other than homeowners.
I believe in maximizing efficiency, and one of the things that I believe in is to remove barriers that exist for everyone. From business owners to low-income individuals to the renters, it means creating equity in the process. I do believe the city has a role and responsibility to create that kind of partnership in order to improve the use of energy. So one thing that I'll be proposing is the way that we give to many folks, business owners, a zero interest program. We need to expand it to everybody. We have to remove those barriers and create those opportunities for everybody without penalizing them for being a low-income person, without penalizing anyone, including the business owner. That's a true responsibility of the city to take aggressive initiatives and bring us to the level that we can. So as your next city council member, my initiative is to bring everybody to the table and make sure that we are together in this, and that future depends on all of us.
Right, the order of our next question will be Mahmoud, Tiffany, Abdi, Faduma. And so our next question is, what are the barriers you currently see keeping Minneapolis from addressing climate change and achieving 100% renewable energy by 2030? How do you believe we can address those barriers? Mahmoud?
Number one, I think there's lack of political will when it comes to addressing and reaching that 100% renewable energy. You know, there are so many people who will talk the talk, but will not walk the walk. This requires us to look outside the box. It's a complex process, as I stated at the beginning. But the best way to remove those issues and address removing the challenges that we face, number one is to have the political will. Number two is to increase participation, like agencies like Community Power, empowering the people, amplifying their voice. That's what we're supposed to do. That's how we want to listen to the voices of everyone. We want to bring the experts, the best people were there. How to create smart grids, how to create better efficiencies, so that we can leverage that and inform energy companies that this is not against them. It's not us against them. This is for all of us together. We're in this together. And that's how I believe in, and that's how we will address the challenges we face in addressing the 100% renewable energy.
Okay, so right now, I believe we're at about 67% renewable. I think there's a large portion of the population that is not living their life composting, solar-wise, using a car less, those kind of things. So the barriers I see is education, funding, and building community, which I kind of stated in my earlier question. And goal would be that by 2030 that we've worked enough with these things that we're moving progressively in a forward process. So I think it's feasible, but I really think it's education, funding, and community, which is something that we're lacking.
You know, I think what we need is to educate the public about the importance of renewable energy and the dangers that can come from global warming. And the fact is, you need not just political will, you need political skill. You need somebody who can actually deliver. You don't need rhetoric, and you don't need somebody who ran a nonprofit to the ground, who couldn't even keep a nonprofit in its office that it was there for 17 years. I mean, that kind of person promising that they will do better in a much more difficult job makes no sense. So you need political skills, you need consensus, you need somebody that can deliver, somebody that can build the opportunity center, somebody that can fund $250 million in the parks. So we need to continue working on the Minneapolis Clean Energy Partnership, making sure that we innovate, making sure that we bring Tesla to the city of Minneapolis and bring their renowned battery system to the city of Minneapolis. So we can learn from the best. So we can create a clean energy industry in the heart of the Twin Cities. And Minneapolis is that city. We have the talent, we have the education, and I think we are on the right track. So again, you need political will, which you have in Ward 6, and you need political skills that comes with time and comes with experience. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, I would like that question.
So our next question's order will be Abdi, Tiffany, Mahmoud, Falua. Next question is, much of the city's environmental burden has been placed on Ward 6 neighborhoods in terms of the quality of both the air and soil pollution levels, due in part to highway traffic, delivery trucks, police vehicles, and busy roads like Franklin and Cedar that run through the Ward 6 communities. What ideas would you support to tackle this piece of the piece of this that is due to city vehicles? Abdi?
I mean, I think the answer to that is, investing in mass transit, making sure that we benefit from having the Green Line and the Green Line that goes through our ward. But we need more lines. We need more emphasis on mass transit. We need more emphasis on moving away from the motor vehicle into the pedestrian and bikes. And this is what we did at the Complete Streets group that I was a member of. We emphasized a movement away from the traditional emphasis of motor vehicles and towards people, towards bikes, towards mass transit. And I think that's what we need to do. We live in the heart of the city. Unfortunately, we've had 150 years of development in this part of the city that emphasize cars more than people, emphasize, and tore apart our neighborhoods with the highways. So I think going to the future, we need mass transit. And we need emphasis on our parks as well, which I'm very proud of. One of the areas, our arteries, are our parks. We do fund the parks, and we had an equity matrix for the parks that emphasized our parks such as Curry Park will get millions of dollars, parks such as PV Park will get millions of dollars, so will Matthews Park. So I think that's what I'm proud of, and that's what I want to continue building on. Not just rhetoric, but action and delivery, improving progress in Ward 6.
Okay, I'm trying to formulate my whole piece here. Kind of going off what Avi said, transit is huge. However, they are trying to sneak cuts in transit right now. I would know a little bit more about that. Mel Reeves came and talked at one of my NAACP meetings, and he is organizing right now because it'll be hugely affected to the marginal population, and that transit won't be there for the environmental piece. But yesterday I did 5 different commitments. I was Wonder Woman, and I did not make it to the transit protest. So that is a huge issue, and all of you guys need to jump on board so that does not happen. And then secondly, I really am a fan of the safer streets where pedestrians and bikes have as much access as vehicles. In fact, it makes it less car usage, less automobile, because parking changes. A pedestrian can walk up, a bike can park. They have convenience versus a car being convenient. Maybe you have to park your car further away and walk to get to your destination, and I am a fan of that. So I think those and a few other things would be essential.
Mahmoud?
Could you please take that question?
Sure. Much of the city's environmental burden has been placed on Ward 6 neighborhoods in terms of the quality of both the air and soil pollution levels, due in part to highway traffic, delivery trucks, police vehicles, and busy roads like Franklin and Cedar that run through Ward 6 communities. What ideas would you support to tackle the piece of this that is due to city vehicles?
Good question. So I think you mentioned the police, which would also be considered as city vehicles. Let's start with the city itself. I think if we can start reducing the emissions and becoming the true picture of how the city works, requires a leader who will say, let's start with the city hall. Make it more energy efficient. Start using electric vehicles and others that don't produce carbon emission. Then we can start talking to other folks. So you lead the way. The city needs to lead the way. And we can follow and ask the residents to be partners. I know many people of low income. There's no incentives. We can start looking for ways of creating those opportunities. And I think as a leader, I'm going to do that. But before I finish, with all due respect, I think my city council member has called for me several times. I want to tell him this. I run for the community, and I serve them very sincerely, and I understand their challenges better than you. I know their struggles. I was today at the immigration with an issue of someone who was going to be deported. He hasn't helped any organization. He hasn't contributed. He hasn't done his fair share. So for him to criticize me dealing with a disabled individual because I don't have the resources, I put my passion, I put my contribution to the people because I care about them. I know them. But for him to criticize for something that he hasn't built, I quit my job so that I can work for my people. My background is in IT. I can do that at any moment. I want him to understand that, and I want him to do that. Thank you so much.
May I rebuttal?
Actually, it's...
But I wanted to rebuttal though because
Sir,
I never, listen, he called me out. He called me out.
and that has been done on several other questions. We're going to go with the order that has been described.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Fadumo?
I think for that question is, in my understanding, we, as a live in Ward 6 need, the public transportation and also the individual cars and a bike. So in my understanding is, to create more, metro transit where the transit be able to take those people as, close to their employers, not to cut the cars, because if you, transportation cannot take you where you want to work, then it would be hard for you to take the transportation, so transit or buses. So I will support either ways, but in order for me to support that, we have to have some other options where the metro transit would be more, and we build more, transportation, that can take where the people are in need.
Okay. And the order of our next question will be...
Second. Yep. I can respond, right?
Oh, he went first.
Okay, go ahead. All right, the order of our next question will be Fadumo, Abdi, Tiffany, and Mahmoud. The question is, we have a first in the nation clean energy partnership between the city and its energy utilities. What would you do to evaluate if the utilities are being good partners, and how would you hold them accountable? Fadumo?
By sending them, by making an awareness and making more investigation about what they doing and how did the residents like.
Abdi?
We will hold them accountable by making sure that they're following the agreement that they've signed. And we have a clause where in 5 years, after 5 years, we can review it and we can renegotiate. So I think we can hold them accountable, and we have within the agreement the tools to hold them accountable. But I would like to also respond in the time that I have, that if you can say all the wonderful words that you love your community, but if you run for every single office in the entire spectrum of politics, in the last 7 years we ran 7 times, you couldn't even understand that one has to have a passion about something. So today he has a passion about city council. Yesterday he had a passion about the state representative. Before that he had a passion about the Senate. So is it serving the community by running and trying to divide the community every time and trying to run against every single member of the community who ever ran? I've only run for this seat once. And this is the only seat that I'm going to run for ever. Because I believe this is the best way to serve my community, by gaining experience, by gaining the political skills, by building relationships, by building consensus, and by delivering. So yes, you can talk all you want about the community. You ran a non-profit, CSCF, one of the great Somali iconic organizations to the ground. It has no accountability, no transparency, and if that's what we want to take to City Hall, and you don't even want to go up against a slumlord, a well-known slumlord, then all the talk that we have is just rhetoric. It's easy to talk. I have proven Cedar Riverside, Ward 6 is much safer, much better, much cleaner than it was 3 years ago. These roads were not even paved 3 years ago. So action, louder than words, clean energy, I'm all for it.
You're out of time.
Let's move on.
Tiffany?
Okay, I keep starting with okay. So I know from my education piece that I was given that I appreciated during my interview, there's at least 2 organizations that are directly involved with Xcel Energy and or like watch groups to make sure that this clean energy partnership is going to come to full fruition. I believe 2018 is a huge year, and that's what they're watching for. And Xcel Energy has not been putting the dollars or the time into this. So now is the time to make them accountable and have this clean energy partnership begin to take place and work for the community. I would assume that there's going to be a few more community organizations, and with that education, there's gonna be pressure and more systems in place to make sure that that happens.
So I agree with Tiffany. I know we're discussing about energy issues, and we should be ready for 2018. 2018 is when we're going to evaluate the goals that we have set in 2014, put some metrics in terms of holding the energy companies accountable. But that dialogue starts with listening to the people. That dialogue starts with bringing organizations together. That dialogue starts with bringing neighborhoods together. That dialogue starts with respecting one another. You know, sometimes I hold back by showing the respect. Sometimes it's not easy for me to hold back. You know, the lies and so many things that I'm hearing from my city council member needs to stop. And things that we're talking about is about the future for our community. How can we bring people together? The divisiveness, the negativity, and the tone that I see in this campaign does not help anybody. We need to talk about issues, not personal issues. We need to hold each other accountable, not to talk about negative about each other. If I go start talking about negative, you're showing people that you don't value while you're running for city council. The reason why I'm running is this community deserves a better person who can listen to them, who will put a vision for a better future for our children. That's an example that we have to set.
So you're out of time.
Thank you so much.
The order of our next question will be Tiffany, Mahmoud, Fadumo, and Abdi. Our next question is, how should the city of Minneapolis handle doing business with industries or companies whose activities compromise the city's climate and equity goals? An example might be the recent decision around moving city money from Wells Fargo due to their business with the Dakota Access Pipeline. Tiffany?
So I agree with that. Corporate, we have a lot of problem with capitalism. It destroys humanity. I get that we need capitalism. That's what we're built on. However, the capitalism that has brought us wealth is the same thing that's taking us down climate-wise. It's pretty interesting that we kick the natives off our land, and it's their way of living that we have to go back to. And so with that, I am very in belief of the protest on the organization that brings it to the change of the paperwork within the organization, and that we not let corporations take away anything that's going to hinder our climate change.
I agree with Tiffany in terms of addressing the corporate greed and special interest in our city hall. You know, when we talk about the divestment or removing resources from Wells Fargo, that's the same company that actually has denied so many people of low income the opportunity. Yeah. So many halal places and so many hawalas have been denied access to use Wells Fargo. I think that should have been the moment of truth in terms of holding them accountable, and in terms of addressing the racial justice, in terms of addressing the equity issues. This is about equity. This is about investment. This is the time that we need to talk about the investment from fossil fuel. This is a moment of showing leadership and actually using that as a leverage to address the challenges that we face. We cannot let go opportunities like that. We cannot let go people who are going to pollute our soil and air to be in charge of that process. We need to send a strong message, such as Seattle they did. We can follow the same. We should be leading, but not following. That's what I believe in.
I agree with holding capitalists accountable. I agree with holding Wells Fargo accountable. I agree with protesting against Donald Trump and holding him accountable. But I think those things are sometimes beyond the means of city leadership. City leadership needs to hold landlords accountable, slumlords accountable. I'm the only one in this campaign, and I pardon Fatima because I don't know her position, but I'm the only one in this campaign that wants to hold Basim Sabri accountable for the mistreatment of the East African community, for the mistreatment of the Somali community, for the mistreatment of Somali traders. And I think you can talk all day about being a progressive. If you cannot hold a slumlord like the Sabris accountable, you're not going to hold Wells Fargo accountable, and you're not going to hold Donald Trump accountable. It's like the old Somali saying, Father, let me fight the big boy, so you can let me hold the small one so I can fight the big boy. That's not going to happen here. I'm the only one who will hold slumlords like Basim Sabri accountable. And we can talk all day about progress. We can talk all day about being a progressive. If you want to defend the future of the community that you so much talk about, and you are not going to hold Basim Sabri accountable, then everything else is on the ground. I'm going to hold Basim Sabri accountable. I'm going to hold the slumlords accountable. I'm going to build a mall that's energy efficient, that is cooperatively owned by the East African community, and I need your support to do that. Thank you very much.
Well, folks, that concludes the first section of our forum this evening. Let's have a round of applause for our brave candidates. Now that we're moving to the audience question and answer period, let me share a quick informational note. Community Power and Minnesota 350 are nonprofit organizations, and while this forum is intended to inform and educate our candidates and our citizenry, there will be no endorsement following this process. So just in case folks are terribly political, you'll recognize that concept. We're not having that kind of action after this process. Otherwise, take this moment to stand, stretch, take a deep breath, and we'll begin rolling again in just 1 minute. I do have, yeah, absolutely. So also, if you have questions that you've come up with, we have cards going around. You can grab one of these, write down your question in the language that suits you best. Our translators, can you all raise your hands, can translate those questions into a language I can read. And we'll be moving forward. Also, since the latter part of this forum will be kind of a lightning round, we would ask that you hold your applause until the very end. We will have a section for you to do just that. But if that will take care of it, we'll be starting up again in just 1 minute.